So I'm Dave Beckstead. I'm a family doc in Spanish Fork with the Canyon View Medical Group. And I also specialize in allergies, so I'm happy to talk about treatments for allergies tonight. So this is our outline. I'll talk about why we develop allergies, how we can prevent from developing allergies. Talk about the local common culprits, the medicines we have to treat allergies, how we can cure allergies. And if you have any questions at any time, just feel free to ask. All right? We can make this a discussion. So an allergy, just to define it, make sure we're covering the basics. An allergy, when you have an allergy, there is some substance in your environment that is not toxic, not infectious, won't hurt you, but for whatever reason, your body is programmed to detect this substance as a foreign body, and anything that this body detects as foreign, it wants to attack, get rid of. And so then you get the typical symptoms of the runny nose, itchy eyes, for some people asthma, hay fever. Food allergies is another topic. We can talk about that at the end if you have any questions, but we're just going to be mainly focusing on the hay fever type allergies. So why do we develop allergies? It's so complex, our immune system is so complex, so many different signaling pathways. And things change over your lifespan. You can develop allergies when you get older, anytime during life. A big thing here is the hygiene hypothesis. 100 years, couple hundred years ago, very few people actually had allergies. Very few people had hay fever. It's only within the last few hundred years that the incidence of allergies has just skyrocketed. And we think it has to do with how cleanly we are now. Couple hundred years ago, people weren't using soap as much as we are now. We didn't have hand sanitizer back then. There's something about your body being exposed to more bacteria tends to train your immune system to recognize things in the environment as normal. We have some research that shows, just an association, but families that don't use soap to wash their dishes, their kids tend to have fewer allergies. Certainly, children who are raised on farms tend to have less allergies, not always, because genetics plays a role too. But the more kids are outside playing from a start, the less likely they are to develop allergies. Nowadays, kids are inside so much more playing on their electronic devices. That's a big reason we have more allergies today. Another thing is kids used to go barefoot a lot. And of course, you don't really see that much anymore, but in countries where the kids tend to not wear shoes, they have fewer allergies. And there's something with being exposed to worms in the dirt, whatever you had, it alters your immune system to calm down and recognize your environment as normal, and you have fewer allergies. So the common culprits around our area that cause allergies, the trees are the big ones that start pollinating in the spring. So if your symptoms are worse during the spring, you probably have an allergy to a tree. The common ones here are the cottonwood trees, the box elder and the maple trees. Mountain cedar is a big one. We just have tons of these around the mountainsides. And then, of course, these other trees contribute, but they're not huge players. The grasses start to come up, start to pollinate in the late spring, early summer. The common ones we have here, Meadow fescue grass and Johnson grass. Alfalfa is considered a type of grass, and certainly every time they cut the hay around my home, my allergies tend to act up. The weeds tend to bother people in the fall. So if your allergies are worse during the fall, or they tend to get worse again during the fall, this is probably your issue here. And the common weeds, Russian thistle, this is your tumbleweed, lamb's quarter, yellow dock, ragweed's big. Sagebrush is actually a big one too in the fall. A lot of people suffer from this. You've probably seen this weed around your house. That's a big one in the fall. Now, dust mites, if you have a dust mite allergy, you can have allergies year-round because our pillows, our mattresses, our carpet, couches, they're just chock full of dust mites. They live off of the dead skin cells that are just sloughed off our skin. They're microscopic, and the part of the dust mite that actually causes the allergy is the dust mite poop, believe it or not. The poop gets aerosolized, and that's what our bodies react to. Mold is a big issue. If you have any water damage in your home, you probably, that wasn't cleaned up right away, you probably have mold in your house. And that, if the mold's in your house, you're going to have issues year round. But the molds outside also spore during the spring, summer, and fall. And so this could contribute to springtime, summer, fall allergies as well for some people. And of course, pets, you can be allergic to all kinds of different animals. It's the dander usually that you're allergic to. One common misconception is flowering plants. So generally the rule is the bigger the flower, the less likely you're going to be allergic to it. The pollen from big flowering plants tends to be heavier. It doesn't get aerosolized. It's too big. Once it gets in your nose, it's really too big to cause any type of allergies. If you feel like your allergy symptoms are worse when plants like these are flowering outside, it's probably just a coincidence. There's probably something else in the air, like a tree or a grass that's bothering you. So we can talk about treatments then now. So you can start without medicines, and these can help somewhat. They're not like the be-all, end-all cure for allergies, but you can do some things to lessen your exposure to the allergens. And by the way, when I use that word allergen, anything that causes an allergy, we call it an allergen. So for pollens, you can watch the pollen counts online, and you can stay inside when the pollen counts are higher. You can use more high-end AC filters. Molds, as soon as there's water damage in your home, get right on top of it and get it taken care of. HEPA filters are really nice for mold and dust mite allergies. Generally, they're just good for one room, though. They're not going to clean the air through your whole house with just one HEPA filter. But dust mites, you can buy dust mite covers for your mattresses and pillows. Pets are a hard thing because people don't want to give up their pets, but you can at least try to keep the pet out of the bedroom. And actually, there is no such thing as hypoallergenic pets. They've done studies, and hypoallergenic pets tend to cause just as many allergies as non-hypoallergenic pets, believe it or not. That's a common myth. So many of us are familiar with the over-the-counter things that we have available for allergies. I just want to go over a few things about these that are good to know. So some people will just go right to a pill first for their allergies. But really the most effective over-the-counter medicine we have are the nasal steroids. There's a lot of different brands now. They work really well. You have to use them consistently though. And they really won't start to work until you've been on them for a week or two. You can be on them year-round. If they irritate your nose or some discomfort with some drainage down the back, if you don't like the taste, you can certainly try a different brand. Different people will tolerate one brand as opposed to another. And if you don't tolerate any of the over-the-counter brands, there are prescription brands that are much better tolerated than the over-the-counter. If itchy eyes is your issue, I tell people to stay away from the Visine and Nafcon, the red eye drops. Those just they work well when you use them, but they just tend to cause rebound red eyes when they wear off. So Afrin's not a nasal steroid. Afrin works by causing the blood vessels in your nose to constrict down. So you get less blood flow to the nose, and less blood flow means less mucus production. And Afrin will work great for any kind of nasal congestion, whether it's a cold or a sinus infection or allergies. But we tell people, if you're going to use it, only to use it for 3 days. Don't use it any longer than that. If you use it longer than 3 days, it will start to cause rebound congestion. And so when it wears off, the congestion will come right back. And so people will get hooked on them, and it's really hard to get off of it once you're on it. If you're just going to use it acutely for 3 days, that's fine to use it, but you really want to stay away from using it longer than that. So for red eyes, the best over-the-counter eye drops to start with are these two brands, Zeditor or Alloway. They have generics, so the ketotifen. That's a really good antihistamine. So when I use that word antihistamine, histamine is the chemical in your body that triggers the whole allergy pathway. And so common mechanism for all these medicines is to block histamine, keep histamine from reaching the receptor in the body to trigger the allergies. So let's say you're using the nasal steroid, it's not really working, then go ahead and try to add on the pills. I think Allegra tends to work better. If that one doesn't work for you, you can try one of the others. You can take up to 4 tabs a day of these others here. Even though the box says only take 1 a day, you can go up to 4. Of course, you risk getting side effects doing that. Headaches is a big one, and these tend to wear off. Their effectiveness tends to wear off after a couple months of taking them. They're going to stop working for a while. And if that happens, you can just switch. Just try a different one. And when that one stops working, try a different one. And when that one stops working, you could go back to the first one you were trying. Unfortunately, they do tend to wear off after a few months. But if itchy eyes are still bothering you, despite using that eye drop I mentioned, we do have prescription antihistamines that work well. You can keep taking them year-round if you want to. But like I say, after a few months, one that was working for you will probably stop, or won't work as well. Your body will get used to it. And so then just go ahead and try a different one for a while. Yeah. But you can take those long term as well. The Zyrtec tends to cause more drowsiness. I didn't put Benadryl up there, but you can use Benadryl, but it tends to cause more drowsiness as well. Benadryl is in the same class here. So if the next step, if you're still suffering, would be to move on to the Claritin D, Allegra D, Zyrtec D. They've got the Sudafed in them that can help cut down on the congestion. But if you've got high blood pressure, those can raise your blood pressure. So that's something you want to steer away from if you have high blood pressure. We have prescription antihistamine nasal sprays that can really help. There's Singulair. That is a pill. It blocks the allergy pathway in a different spot than all the over-the-counter antihistamines. So if you're taking Singulair and an antihistamine, you're getting blockage at different parts in the pathway, and you can get some added relief to your allergies. I put the steroid shot. It's called by different names by different people. Some people call it a Kenalog shot or a cortisone shot. Some people will get their annual cortisone or their annual Kenalog shot because it's the only thing that works for their allergies. And if that's the only thing that works for you, we can give those Kenalog shots once a year, but they do have side effects. So they're suppressing your immune system, and so in that way they suppress the allergies. But along with that comes a lot of side effects. Younger people don't tend to get as many side effects with these, but the older you get, you're at more risk for the side effects. Weight gain, irregular periods, upset stomach, can raise your blood pressure, can raise your blood sugar. It can cause like a sunken divot in the area where it's injected. If you get them every single year, they can thin your bones. So we tend to try to steer people away from them, but if they're just miserable and they understand the risks, we go ahead still and can give them their annual Kenalog shot. So I wanted to list these kinds of remedies. They are an option as well. All of the ones I listed here have some kind of research showing that they work. They're small studies. They're not amazing studies, but they have some studies showing they help. Some of them have conflicting evidence, but for example, the local honey produced around our area. Some people will swear by it. You're probably going to get best results if you take it year-round. And the one study that I saw that showed a benefit, people were taking like 3 tablespoons of honey a day to get the relief. So that's a lot of sugar, but that's one thing you can try. But all these others, some are Asian remedies. You can find them online or at health food stores. Here's a few more. Acupuncture has mixed results. I wouldn't expect any of these natural remedies to be really any more effective than like a Claritin or Allegra. But if you combine them with the other over-the-counter medicines we have, you may get added benefit. Certainly we have lots of medicines to treat our symptoms, but all those medicines are really just Band-Aids. They're not curing the problem. It'd be awesome if we could cure our allergies so we don't have to keep taking allergy medicines. Now we have options to cure allergies, but we need to find out what you're allergic to first in order to go ahead with the cure. So you can get tested to see what you're allergic to either via skin prick tests or blood tests. The blood tests tend to be more expensive. So skin prick testing is cheaper. It's an easier option. We have these little applicators. Each of these little prongs on the applicators is a different allergen. And we can apply those to the skin and then wait 20 minutes or so, and we can measure the reactions that you get and thereby see what you're allergic to. Usually we put all the local pollens, molds, trees, grass, dust mite, animals are all applied. So then once we know what you're allergic to, we can...
Food allergies too?
We do it for food allergies as well. Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, food allergies, there's no cure for at this point. There's some newer research, and that's nothing that's FDA approved. But there's a lot of development there. But right now, we don't use any of these things for food allergies. So immunotherapy is the fancy word that we're using here. What this entails is we're giving your body what you're allergic to in small incremental amounts over time and training your body to become immune or tolerant to the allergen, to what you're allergic to. So we have allergy shots, we have drops that go under the tongue, we've got tablets, and I'll talk about each of these. So with allergy shots, we're actually putting what you're allergic to in the vials, and different allergists have different ways of mixing and different schedules of how often you get the shots, but kind of a standard or common one would be you'd start off at a very, very dilute, low dose, and then once or twice a week, you'd come in to the clinic and get a shot here just in the back of the arm. And for the first 6 months to a year or so, you'd have a build-up schedule and build up to a kind of a maintenance dose. And then when you get to the maintenance dose, you would come into the clinic maybe every couple weeks or every once a month, just to kind of maintain at that level. The one thing with these, it does take 3 to 6 months before you're going to notice improvement in your allergies, and it can take 12 months to reach its full effect. If you want any kind of lasting cure, you do have to continue them for at least 3 to 5 years, is what the research shows. These work for about 9 out of 10 people. Immunotherapy in general does. It's not 100% cure, but about 9 out of 10 people, they'll really help a ton. They'll either cure their allergies and they won't have them for life afterwards, or their allergies will be just so mild after they're done with the 3 to 5 years that a Claritin's all they need and they're feeling fine. There is the occasional person that will respond really well to the allergy shots, but then as soon as they stop, their allergies come right back. But if we get them back on the shots, they'll be fine. So some people, they do need to be on them lifelong if they want the relief. But these, by far, these are going to control your allergies way better than any over-the-counter medicine. So that's the shots. Now they are inconvenient in that you have to come into the clinic to get them. The sublingual drops are a little easier. These have to be given daily, dropped under your tongue. The same thing, you're giving yourself what you're allergic to. It's getting absorbed into your body through your mouth. And so your immune system is recognizing it through that route. And again, they're more convenient. You don't have to come into the clinic to get them, but they do have to be given daily under your tongue. And same time frame. You need to be on them 3 to 5 years to get any lasting benefit from them. I did want to mention this, the sublingual tablets. They have sublingual tablets now that are manufactured, but those are manufactured just for a certain thing. So like there's a tablet just for dust mite allergy. There's a tablet just for grass allergy. And so if all you're allergic to is grass, then that is a good option for you. It's the same deal, one tablet under your tongue, you let it dissolve. And but same time period, you have to be on it 3 to 5 years. But most people aren't allergic to just grass or just dust mite. They're allergic to many different things, lots of different trees and pollens, grass. So the shots and the drops are better that way, in that you can combine multiple different things in the vial. For you put many different things that you're allergic to. So for shots and drops, we can treat pollens, molds, dust mite, and animal allergies. If your allergies are bad enough that you're always congested, and there's so much congestion that you keep getting bacteria, sinus infections on top of your allergies. A lot of people will suffer from chronic sinusitis, chronic sinus infections, because they're always congested with allergies, and all that congestion it's just like a culture, just a place for bacteria to really start causing issues. So that's an area, if you're always dealing with sinus infections, that would be a reason, I think, to pursue immunotherapy. Asthma is another one. So if your asthma seems to be triggered by allergies, kids especially, who have asthma, allergic asthma, if they undergo the allergy shots when they're young, they're like 50% more likely to grow out of their asthma if you cure their allergies. So that would be one reason for sure to pursue it. Some people cannot get rid of their pet, and but they're miserable because of them, and immunotherapy is a great option for them because they can feel better and still enjoy their pet. And just basically, if you're miserable, if you're fed up with spending so much money on over-the-counter allergy medicines, and a large part of the year you're just miserable, I mean, that's certainly a reason to see the doctor and pursue immunotherapy. So they have looked money-wise at this, and it is a commitment of time and money to pursue allergy shots or allergy drops. But if you compare that amount of money to how much you'll spend over a lifetime on over-the-counter allergy medicines, I mean, it would make more sense to pursue the allergy shots.
Is it something that insurance will usually cover?
Yes, allergy shots, insurance covers, Medicare covers, Medicaid covers. Of course, if you haven't met your deductible first, you'll have it'll go towards your deductible. The allergy drops are not covered by insurance, mainly because the allergy drops aren't really standardized. We have lots of research showing they work, but since there's no set standard, the FDA hasn't approved them, and so insurances haven't jumped on board to cover the allergy drops. So they are out of pocket. But when it's all said and done, how much you have to pay on your deductible for the allergy shots versus paying out of pocket for allergy drops, it's about equivalent. Yeah. Yeah. So, any other questions on that? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Appreciate it.